Ciao, hello YouTube friends. Today I'm going to attempt to make some Italian bread. Now, I've watched some other videos out there. I got some different ideas, so I'm just kind of coming up with my own idea. So I'm going to go through how I make Italian bread. So I'm going to get down to the bowl here. All right, so what I'm going to start off with is I'm going to take some warm water and a tablespoon of yeast. Use the active dry yeast, so a tablespoon of this. Put that in the bowl. And quarter cup of warm water. And some videos I've also seen where they add a little bit of sugar to it as well. So I'm going to do that because I've seemed to have some decent results with that. And what the sugar does is basically gives the yeast a food supplement to start the process going. So I stir that up with a fork. You can see in here. Just mix that around a little bit so it gets all dissolved. And I'm just going to set that off to the side for now. So in the larger bowl, this is my mixture. I use 2.5 cups. I use bread flour. So I'm going to put that in the larger mixing bowl. 2.5 cups of flour. I'm also going to add about a tablespoon of salt, just for some taste. About 3/4 tablespoon of salt. This one I'm going to add a little bit of oregano to it as well. I'm just going to throw that right inside the mixing bowl. Maybe a 1/4 tablespoon. And then I'll just take my mixer, make sure I mix the salt up, the flour, and the oregano all together. I'll add just a tad bit more oregano to that. All right, mix that up. And I also have on the side a cup of warm water that we'll end up adding to this mixture as well. I'm going to give a few more minutes and let this yeast set up. Okay, it's been a few minutes. And if you can see in here that the yeast mixture is getting all bubbly in there, so that tells you that it is ready to go. Like I said, adding the sugar is giving the yeast basically some food so it can start its process. So I'm going to pour this mixture into my flour. Get everything out of there. And yes, the only mixing thing I could find is Halloween. It says Witch's Brew on it, so I will look for the correct ones later. So anyway, I added that to it, so I'm going to start mixing this up. Before I forget, I'm also going to add about 2 tablespoons of olive oil in here. Mix that in. Now you see it's kind of dry, so that's where I'll grab my cup of water and I'll just add a little bit in there and just mix it through. You can use your hands with this if you want to. Gets a little messy, gets sticky, not a big deal. Just for video's sakes, I'm just going to use this because it seems to work better. And I don't get it all stuck on my ring and everything else. So you can see where its consistency is now. Add a little bit more water. Sometimes you don't even have to add that whole cup. But when you get the dough to start rolling around the bowl as one solid piece, you know that you've got enough water in there. More water. Try to get all that flour off the edge as well. Lift it, fold it into itself. I'm no expert on this, but We are in the process of purchasing a home in Italy, and it's an older home. It does have a wood-burning oven there, and I would really like to be able to make bread in that wood-burning oven. So that's why I'm working on my bread recipe. So you can see it starting to come together as one piece right now. Keep mixing it up. Get it off the edges. And it doesn't take too long, a few minutes of mixing. Alright, so you can see it's pretty clumped together in there. Don't need any more water, so what I'm going to do is add a little bit of flour to my countertop here. Just put some flour down, flour that, put some on your hands as well to keep the dough from sticking. So I'm going to pour that down onto the countertop, everything off the bowl, clear it out. Now I'm basically going to knead this into the flour that's on the countertop. I fold it over, turn it a quarter turn, and just push it down. Need to get my dough. Get some more flour on there. These feels it starts getting sticky. Just grab a little bit more flour. Put some more flour down on the countertop on your dough. And continue kneading it. I usually turn it a quarter turn. I take half, fold it over, and just use my palm to flatten it out. Starts getting sticky. Just add a little bit more flour down. At least that's what I've been doing. It seems to help. Some more of that flour. You basically want to keep kneading it till the dough becomes you get kind of a smooth consistency on it. So, it's looks pretty smooth. I'm just going to fold it over upon itself in my hands a few times. Put it back here. I'm going to get a bowl now. Alright, I got a bowl. Grab a little bit of flour, put it in the bottom. And just a little bit more. Okay. Seal up the bottom edge. Create kind of a ball with it. I'm going to take this, I'm going to set it right inside the bowl. Grab just a little bit of flour and just put it over the top edge. So it looks something like that. I'm going to grab some plastic wrap. Alright, got some plastic wrap here. Gonna put it over the top. This is always such a joy to work with. There we go. I want this to be airtight. There we go. So what we're going to do next, so I'm going to set this, cover it with a towel, and I'm going to put it in the oven for probably at least an hour. Oven open. It's covered in plastic wrap. Cover it with a towel. And just stick it in the oven I'll leave the light on in there. We're going to let that sit in there for an hour. That'll give it time to rise, and we'll come back and we'll check it after an hour sitting in the oven. See you in a few. All right, we're back. It's been a little over an hour, so let me get the bread dough out of the oven, and we'll give it a check. All right, here we go. You can see that it's definitely risen quite a bit in there. So I'm going to take plastic wrap off. I'm going to try to save it because I want to let it rise a little bit more. Just going to fold it a few times. Set this over here so you can see that there. So what I want to do, get a little flour on my hand so it doesn't stick. Some in my other hand. All right, take this off of here. A little sticky. And actually I need to put a little bit of flour on my countertop as well. There we go. All right, get this back out of here. And try to get it all out of there as well. There we go. So I'm just going to knead this a little bit more. Get it in that flour. Turn a quarter turn, fold it. Push it down with the palm of my hand. Again, the consistency you're looking for in this is it doesn't look stringy, it looks smooth. See how that looks smooth? Not stringy at all. So that's what I was trying to say earlier. It's the consistency you want of the dough once you start kneading everything together. So again, some flour on there. Knead it in my hands, fold it over, pinch the edges. So I fold it over, pinch the edges to seal the bottom half off. Did a few. Okay. Again, I'm going to add just a little bit of flour in the bowl, a little bit on top here. I'm going to take this, set it back in the bowl, and we're going to let it sit again for about a half hour. Give it another chance to rise so you see where it's at now in the bowl. Get my plastic wrap back over the top. Seal the edges off. I didn't explain it before, but the reason I stick it in the oven is you want it to sit and have a chance to rise in a warm place, okay? So I'll stick it in a turned off oven, obviously. I'll cover it with a towel. And sometimes I'll turn the oven light on, like you can see it's on now, just to add just a slight bit of heat from that bulb to help it rise, okay? All right, so now we're gonna let it sit in the oven for another half hour, and I'll come back and we'll see the results of it. All right, so we let our dough sit another half hour. We've pulled it back out of the oven. I've got my oven preheating, and we're going to see what we do next with it. Going to knead it one more time, cut it in half, and I'll show you what I do here. All right, so take my dough out of the bowl. Get down on the countertop here. Get everything out of there. All right, get flour down. Just gonna push it out, spread it out a little bit. I'm just gonna roll this up, make like a rectangle here. Roll this up. I'm going to cut that in half now. So I'll take this, just gonna cut this right in half. All right, so now I'm going to take this half here. I'm just going to roll it out. I'm going to stick it on a tray with some parchment paper. Okay, we'll set this off to the side. Let's grab this one. We'll roll this as well. This is basically going to make 2 loaves. Just long, skinny loaves here. Set that there. Here's my tray. All I have, I don't have a cooking stone, so I'm using a tray. I'm going to set that on top there, roll this, set this one right there. All right, so you can see both of them sitting here on the tray, parchment paper. If you have a cooking stone, you can do that as well. I don't have one at the moment. You would leave that in the oven to get preheated along with the oven. I'll let this sit about 15-20 minutes and I'll be right back. I'm going to let this rise one more time. So I'm going to cover this up with a towel and we'll come back in about 20 minutes. All right, so we're back again. This will be the last time. Let me put the camera down to the bread. All right, so we got it covered for 30 minutes. It's risen a little bit. So my next step, what I'm going to do is I'm going to take a sharp knife, kind of sharp. I'm just going to put some slits in here, which after cutting, after it bakes, makes it easier to cut your sections. Now, there's a couple different things I've tried. I've used an egg. I've cracked an egg in a bowl, mixed it up with a little bit of water, and used a brush to brush the outer edge of this bread, which gives it a little bit of color. I've also used oil as well, which is what we're going to do today with this. Take a little bit of oil in here. Now I'm just going to take this oil and I'm just going to brush the top edge of this bread. Brush the top edge of the bread. Give it a little oil coating, which helps with the flavor a little bit. Give it a little bit of oil flavor. All right, so my bread is coated all the way around, which, like I said, will help give it a little bit of color, a little bit of olive oil taste in the crust. I've got my oven preheated to 410 degrees. All right. Okay. Oven's preheated. Got my bread. I'm going to stick it in the oven now. On the bottom rack. 410 degrees. I'm going to set my timer for 25 minutes. And there we go. All right, timer's set. It's in the oven, and we'll be back when I'm ready to pull it out of the oven. See you in a little bit. All right, so it's been an hour. Let's get the bread out of the oven, see what it looks like. I'm going to get a rack, set it on a rack, so it can cool down for about 10-15 minutes. All right, so we're going to let this sit for about 15 minutes to cool off. It'll finish the cooking process inside, and we'll come back in a few minutes. All right, so we've let our bread sit for about 15 minutes to cool off and finish that internal cooking process. I'll move the camera down there. There we go. A little brown on the crust, but could have taken out maybe about 5 minutes sooner. So I'll get the lines here that I added before. There we go. Inside nice and soft. Not too crunchy. Now if you want a crispier crust, obviously you'd leave it in there a little bit longer. But from what we're using, dipping it in olive oil, this works out perfect. Alright, got a little bit of my oil, got some of my bread. Now what I like to do is just me. I like to add a little red pepper, a little Parmesan in there. So you got that. Very good. Alright, so hopefully you enjoyed that video. I'll be doing some more videos in the near future on different styles of bread I'm going to try to do. Maybe get into some pizza, focaccia. I'm going to work on a couple different things. Also, once we get out to Italy, I'm going to be doing some more videos on the house out there, property, the area, with the drone, with the camera. I've got some other videos I might do with just random things, RC stuff. All right, well, make sure you give this a like, subscribe to my channel, and we'll see you in the near future. Ciao.